Welcome to the What to Play podcast. I'm your host, Jacob. Lucas could not be here this week as he has prior commitments. So, again, we're going solo. If you haven't been aware or looking at the NFL World YouTube channel or even Rumble, I haven't done a video. I've been sick this past week, so we're going to put this video, this podcast, on every platform. We're going to put it on Spotify. We're going to put it on Rumble. We're going to put it on the NFL World YouTube channel. We're going to put it on the What to Play podcast YouTube channel, which check all of those things out. So let's first begin with what happened last week. In week 10 in the NFL, the Bengals played the Ravens. The Ravens won 35-34. This game, in my opinion, was insane. The Ravens, at the end, caused 3 penalties that weren't called on the 2-point conversion play. They had 2 face masks, including, they had a face mask of a guy that was going down. He's face masked. They have a face mask on Joe Burrow. They got a hold on the tight end in the left side slot. It was ridiculous. It was crazy to really see this happen, and no one saw anything, I guess. I don't know. They were playing it pretty close, the refs were, all night, and then they just didn't call anything on that play. It was egregious to really watch. It was a good game. It really was. It kind of, remember the first time they played this year? It was kind of like that. It was who was not going to make a mistake at the end of the game. And Baltimore did, and they just didn't get caught. That's kind of what happened. But Cincinnati did play well. The problem with Cincinnati isn't their offense. It's their defense. You scored 34 points. I used to say this all the time. And this is not the first time I've said this here. You can have 34 points. That's good. But if your defense gives up 35 or 38, you're not going to win games. That's not how it works. That's kind of what Cincinnati is at this moment. Okay, we're back. Something was happening. So, back to what I was saying. The Bengals offense can score as much as they want. If the defense is going to give up more, you can't win games that way. If your offense can score 28, but your defense is going to give up 31, it's not going to matter. That's what the difference between good teams and bad teams are. It's the way they win the games. It's how their defense hits their offense by allowing less points so the offense doesn't have to score 40 all the time. The offense can go and score 10, and the defense can hold them to 7. They can hold the other team to 7. So that's how that works. Oh, we're lagging. Hang on. That's how this works. It's not a complicated process. It's really not. And that's kind of what Cincinnati's into at this moment. Next up, the Patriots at the Bears. Patriots winning this game 19-3. Might as well have been 35-3. It didn't matter. We will talk about more of the Bears in a little bit. I want to talk about the Patriots. This is how you expect to win games at this moment. You're not going to win by a lot, even though you did here. But you're going to win by games that we're going to score maybe 20, and we're going to give up 10. That's okay. That's fine. You're rebuilding. You have a young quarterback. You're just rebuilding, trying to figure some things out. And so You're okay with this outcome. Plus, you beat a good Chicago team. That's a good job on your part. So, again, like I said, we'll talk about the Bears a little more in depth in a little bit, but they got to be better than this. They do. You got to be better. You've lost You lost 3 games in ridiculous ways. That can't happen again. Which, with this fix, hopefully it won't happen that way. Next up, Broncos at Chiefs. Chiefs winning the game 16-14. I want to talk about this. So, how do you explain to those Broncos defensive players, all right, that let's do it this way. I tell you, guys, let's pretend like I'm the coach, okay, of the Denver Broncos. Guys, defensively, we're going to hold them to 16 points. You're going to be like, oh my gosh, we won. No, we didn't. Wait, what? We scored. Yes, you did score. We scored 2 touchdowns. Okay? What happened? Well, we scored 2 touchdowns in the first half, and we didn't do anything in the second half. And then when we had a chance to go win the game with the field goal, it got blocked. That's what happened. Now, if you say it, well, you're like, what is supposed to happen then? Because the Chiefs have won these games, they're not going to score a lot, and they're going to just do enough to win. That's good. It also means if you lose in a way, like you saw, remember Philadelphia last year? They were winning these games like that, and then there was a down current, and then they had a horrible month and a half. They were just horrible, and they barely made the playoffs, and then they barely even were in the playoffs because they lost so badly to Tampa. That's this team at this moment in Kansas City. If there's a loss and they lose big, they might not be able to recover. They really might not be. That's kind of the team they are right now. They gotta fix that. And for Denver, you gotta figure out a way to score more than 14 points in these games. You gotta. It can't happen that your offense goes cold in the second half. Now, moving on to the 49ers versus the Bucks. 49ers win this game in overtime, 23-20. Christian McCaffrey is back. He had 30 yards rushing. They kind of eased him in. But I really want to talk about this. What McCaffrey does is not just a running back skill set. It's a passing game skill set. The things they do, they get him on in routes, in wheel routes. They throw him the ball consistently. They're going to use him in ways that it's undescribable at times. But it works. When he wasn't there, it didn't work as well. But I'm terrified of this 49er defense at this moment. In terms of not terrified as in oh my gosh, they're so good. I'm more like, oh my gosh, they're really bad. Because again, Baker Mayfield played a really good game. A really good game. But Sterling Shepard, he had a great play where he's holding off, he's stiff-arming. I think he was stiff-arming Nick Bosa. And then on a 4th down and throws it. And it's a 1st down. I think he threw it to Cade Otton on 4th and 7. They had a chance to win the game at the end. They didn't. That's a big thing. But these games can't be that close also for the 49ers. Next up, Eagles at Cowboys. This game wasn't really close. 34-6 was the score. The Eagles, we're going to talk about the Eagles a little bit here. Because we didn't have them listed in the next week's game. So we're going to talk about this a little bit. They're a very interesting team, I think. that the Eagles are back to the 2022 form. Look how good they are. And like, first half, they didn't do anything. They couldn't move the ball. Like, that's the problem. They could move the ball, they couldn't score. They missed 2 field goals from 40 yards and 51. Then they were making a lot of mistakes. They had to punt quite a few times, and the Commanders just couldn't capitalize because Jaden Daniels was throwing the ball into the dirt. Like, that's what was going on. And it happened over and over and over again. They were lucky the Commanders only scored 10 points in this game. They were lucky that when the Cowboys played them, they only scored 6 points. Because the Cowboys got after him. They got after Hurts. Same thing as the Commanders. They got after him. The same thing happened. They got after Jalen Hurts. But just what happened is they're not good enough on offense to push them and score points consistently. You just can't do it. I want to say this also. And talking about this game again between the Eagles and Cowboys. The score says 34-6. I saw 3 drives, at least from the Cowboys, where they couldn't do a dang thing. They couldn't do anything. They had there was 3 drives. They had 1 drive in the early part of the game. Their wide receiver can't get both of his feet and they have to take a field goal. At right before half, they hand the ball to Zeke. He fumbles and goes through the end zone and gets recovered by the Eagles. Inside the 5, that happens. And the Cowboys get the ball back inside the 5 and can't do anything and have to kick another field goal. So there's potentially 21 points on this board if the Cowboys have an offense. And if the Cowboys have a run game. That's how much it is. And the same thing goes with last night. If the Commanders had a good enough team, they were going to win. They just didn't. They don't have a good enough offense yet. That's what it is. Those 2 teams, the Cowboys and the Commanders, are not built to play from behind consistently. They're just not. The Eagles, they can play around with it, but they're not good enough to do that consistently. So that's what needs to be talked about. For the Cowboys, those 3 turnovers, they had 2 botched snaps. They had a fumble in the end zone. They lost the ball in the sun. That would have been a touchdown. They took multiple sacks. The quarterback had only 45 yards passing. They had to put in another quarterback that had 21 yards passing. It's not a good organization at this moment. It needs to be fixed. And that's all I'm going to say. And last up, Lions at Texans. Lions winning the game 26-23 in not in overtime, but heading in, would have been overtime. They played good. Played fine. Jared Goff did. 5 turnovers. 5 interceptions. But because your team's good enough, you have Gibbs. Anyway.
Jay?
Mm-hmm.
Jay?
Mm-hmm.
Shut the lights on the porch. Are you all set?
Mm-hmm.
Shut the light on the porch. Okay? Mm-hmm. I'll go see Mom for a minute. Yeah.
Sorry about that. Okay. Okay. Now we're back. Alright. So, the Lions played this game, and Jared Goff, 5 turnovers. Really played bad. Really was bad. But they ran the ball well. And because the Texans can't, for whatever reason, play a normal game, Lions ended up coming back in this game and winning the game from Jake Bates, hitting 2 late clutch field goals. That's what happened. It's really that simple. I don't know what's wrong with this Texans team, but I can tell you it's not good at this moment. Next up, we have our news. So remember when I said we were going to talk about the Bears? The Bears fired offensive coordinator Shane Waldron amidst the 3-game losing streak that the Bears had, where they lost to the Commanders on the tip Hail Mary play. They lost to the Arizona Cardinals, where they didn't do anything on offense or defense. And they lost this game against the Patriots, which they couldn't do anything on offense or defense. Shane Waldron canned, and I put slash because he's the second coordinator to get fired. Luke Getsy was the first, who was the coordinator of the Bears a year ago. And I said, why is this relevant? This is relevant because under this administration of coaches, Getsy, remember we said, Justin Fields does not look good. He doesn't look like a capable quarterback. This was Luke Getsy's fault. This was Luke Getsy. This is what he did. Because he couldn't coach. Remember when they played on that Monday night game last year against the Vikings? And all we saw was underneath screens, tunnel screens, another screen, another screen, another screen. And Troy Aikman was like, okay, enough. This is terrible. Enough. It was over and over and over and over again. It's the same thing here. Shane Waldron, Luke Getsy got the Raider job, and Shane Waldron came over from Seattle. We all said the same thing. He's not a good coach. He's not. I'm sure Seattle fans said that to Chicago Bears fans. He's not a good coach. There's questionable calls. And in those 3 games, in the Washington game, forget the Hail Mary for a second. Before the Bears actually scored the touchdown, the game-tying drive, they had a chance to tie the game earlier. They were on the 1-yard line. They could either quarterback sneak it, run it in with a back, or try to do a William Refrigerator Perry moment. And they chose to do the William Refrigerator Perry moment. And the guy fumbles on the 1-yard line. But they get the ball back. And then they go and decide to do the normal thing and run it in with the running back, and they got it. That's one. That is one. Here's the second thing. The second game, they played Arizona. They couldn't do dead squat in that game. And that's the same thing about this Patriot game. They couldn't do dead squat on offense. As good as your defense can be, if you can't give your offense a chance, or your offense ain't giving your defense a chance to get back, it's not going to work. It's that simple. It really is. Stop wasting time, and that's why they canned him. Now, do I think Eberflus will be next to go? I don't know. Because defensively, they've actually been pretty good. But offensively, they've been a mess. And losing 3 games when you were second in the division, and now you're hoping, you can find it again. It's not great. Next up, Dak Prescott. This is on the list of multiple injuries. Let's start with this. Dak Prescott had season-ending hamstring surgery this past week, or this Wednesday actually. Went and met with the doctor in New York, specialist, and the idea was, no, the surgery makes sense. Which also tells you the Cowboys' season is over, if you already weren't aware of that. Because he would not have tried to do that right away if they would have been 2-6 or 1 and whatever. He wouldn't have done that unless they would. At that point, he was doing that because he was trying to find any way to play. But he has his surgery. It's a 2 to 4 month recovery timeline, 2 4 months. So it's roughly around. He'll be fine by either February or March. But or February or April, February or April. So it's not great, but it's not bad. He'll be healthy and ready to go. And in a lost season, like, sometimes you just gotta protect these players from themselves. Next up is Kansas City Chiefs kicker Harrison Butker is to have surgery on his left knee. He's headed to IR. He's not technically going to be done for the season. The hope is he'll be back either for the playoff run or entering the playoff run. But a kicker, if you're a soccer player, you understand this. As important as your kicking leg is, it's as important for your plant leg. Because your plant leg takes all the weight. So when you swing, you can just use your energy all in one area. It's pretty much how you do it. In the case of Harrison, he injured his left knee and he's going to have surgery. The hope is he'll be fine, but a knee injury for a kicker, I described it like this. It is like a left knee for a kicker is like a left hand for a receiver. It is, you can catch the ball right-handed. You can. It's not easier than catching the ball with both hands, but you can catch it with one hand. But it's if you use it as much, is what I'm trying to say. Next up, another person who had knee surgery was J.J. McCarthy. He actually had his second knee surgery. Right there. His second knee surgery. This was because of swelling due to intensifying his rehab. Technically, when you have a surgery for swelling, that means they didn't do it right. That's usually what it means. They didn't do the surgery right. And that's the way I look at it, is they didn't do the surgery right. Which is sad. The kid had a meniscus tear, complete meniscus tear, and now is out. It would have been out the whole year anyway, but now has to have a second surgery. Because either they didn't do it completely right, or something else was bothering to cause the swelling. That's kind of harsh and I've always had this issue too, is when I have an appointment or whatever, and they come to me in the doctor, it's like, oh yeah, it's like, it's your job. How do you not? I don't get it. I would assume that's his frustration. Some good news, though, for the New England Patriots fans. is Christian Barmore, He returned to practice after having blood clots earlier this summer. So let's explain what happened. He had blood clots, and if I actually have it, I have it listed here. Oh, no, I do not. Okay. So he had blood clots earlier this summer, and the expectation is he would have missed the whole season. But he's back. He's ready to go. And blood clots are very dangerous, and Baltimore is a good player. But him being back, that locker room must be ecstatic. That whole organization must be ecstatic. Hoping, like, maybe he can get out there. Maybe he can't. But maybe this season wasn't a complete waste. Speaking of a waste season, the New York Jets. In the midst of a 3-7 start to the season, Aaron Rodgers expects to return to the New York Jets in 2025. Look, the Jets aren't good, okay? It's frustrating. I get it. But I don't get why we keep trying to say Aaron's not at fault. He's blaming everybody at this point. He blamed players, he's fired coaches, he's blamed media people. It's on and on and on. It's like, Aaron, it can't be all these people. Okay? Look in the mirror. As they used to say, look in the mirror. And that's kind of what you have to do. It's not going well. You're the de facto, you're the denominator. Like Salah, you can blame Salah for a lot of things, but his defense was really good. Since he's left, your defense has been terrible. Since if you guys went and said, okay, we're going to try and fix this play, well, that hasn't worked. Okay, so let's do this. Well, that doesn't work. Okay. We've tried everything. It don't work. And you're 3-7. And you've made constant trades that aren't going to help. It is what it is. Learn from it. Embrace it. That's all you can do. Some more good news for two teams, Bills and Chiefs. Both of these players will not play this week, but I feel like it needs to be said. Bills opened the injury window on Matt Milano, who suffered, it was like a broken forearm or something like that. I can't even exactly remember, and I just felt so bad for Milano. He's been through so much. Broken leg last year, now he breaks something else. Like his forearm, I think it was his forearm or something like that. He missed some time. Pacheco, he's close to returning, but maybe another week or two. But both those guys on the way back, just not this week. And into a week 11 predictions as time flies in the NFL season. So we got 6 games. Ravens at Steelers +3. I am taking the Steelers. Here's why. There's 2 reasons why. The Steelers only know how to play weird football. It makes no sense. It doesn't. But that's the only way they know how to play weird football. You saw it last week when they played Washington. For whatever reason, they played weird football. They don't do things normally. It's weird. Like, they can't move the ball at all, and then the next thing you know, they somehow win the game. You're like, wait, what happened? The Ravens also, for whatever reason, really stink against the Steelers. I don't know why, but they do. So we're saying that Steelers win this game and stay at number 1 in their division with the record of, I think it's, let's do with the score of 24 to, I don't know why I'm pretending I'm writing, 24 to 20. Let's do 24 to 20. Next up, Rams at Patriots, plus 4.5 for the Patriots. I'm taking the Rams. Taking the Rams. I don't care that they lost a week ago to Minnesota. This is a bounce back game. Everyone on this Rams team is going to be ready to go. They know they're slipping a little bit in this division, and they need to keep up with San Francisco and Arizona. Because it's all tight. You got to keep it together as much as you can. So, I'm saying the Rams win, score, let's see. I'm going to go 28 to 14. Next up, Seahawks versus 49ers. Minus 6.5 for the 49ers. McCaffrey gets his legs underneath him in this first game. Had his legs underneath him in his first game. I'm going to say they beat the Seahawks again. Potentially, the Seahawks get DK Metcalf back. He was practicing on Wednesday. Let's see what. I didn't pay attention to what happened on Thursday, but I think he should be to go. So, Seahawks get Metcalf back, but I still take the 49ers to win this. I think not having Ayuk out there, though, might make the score a little bit closer than it should be, but the score will be 28-24 San Francisco. Next up, Chiefs at Bills, 2.5-point favorites. The Bills are. I'm taking the Bills. Here's why. The matchups in this game are really interesting. If Amari Cooper goes, that he draws Trent McDuffie the whole way. Shakir will be pretty much on his own. He'll be able to do his work. But here's a oh, hang on. We lost our camera. There we go. We're back. Okay, I don't know what is going on. We're having some really goofy things going on over here. I don't get why. I hope everything's okay. I get comments from you guys saying the stream's not working. I apologize. I really do. So, but the really thing is going to be Josh Allen versus Spagnuolo. And that's going to be a fun matchup to witness. I got the Bills winning it because I don't know how this Chiefs offense is going to score enough points. So, Bills win. They beat the undefeated Chiefs with the score of, they're going to come out, I think it's going to be 31-21. Next up, Jaguars at Lions. Lions favored by 14. This seems like a got you game. A trap game, as other people call it. That's kind of what I see it as. I question how this is going to operate, but I'm going to take the Lions. 14's a lot, but I'll take the Lions with a score of 35-14. And last game is the Texans at Cowboys, plus 7.5 for the Cowboys. Cooper Rush gets to start again. I don't know what to expect out of him on a Monday night. But the Texans have struggled in second halves. So as long as the game doesn't get away from you in the first half, and you don't allow the Texans to play really good in the third quarter, this game should be close. I don't think it's 7.5, but it should be close. I still think the Texans win. With the score of 24. I'm gonna go 24. 24-10 is my score. That's what I'm gonna go with. But I don't think the game really gets away from the Cowboys. It's just the score is what it is. And that is it for the What I Play podcast. Let me know if the stream is okay for you guys. I'll try and make sure. But let me know in the comment section if it's okay, if everything's alright. But also let me know who you got winning this week. And can the Bills take down the Kansas City Chiefs? For the What I Play podcast, I'm Jacob Hebert, and we'll see you next week.